Good. How you doing today?
Great. It's Sandra LaFlamme and Dave McLaughlin in our Monday morning market minutes real estate and mortgage news. And I'm filming live because you and I, there's a couple of professionals in this market where we can film live. And we're going to say the same thing, edited version of what I'm going to talk about today with you. You probably don't have time to look at the end result of what we do. But there's usually pictures and graphics. So today, the low sales price in Manatee County was $56,000 in the last 7 days. It was a condo. But the picture that will flash in the end product of this was the low price in Sarasota County was $60,000, and it was for land value only. And it's the best looking, horrible shack that I've ever seen. It's so fun when we list property like that. Do you know that I sold an island about a year and a half ago?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and the island that I sold in Sarasota County, I knew the zip code was Palmer Ranch, and it was not deed restriction, and it was on Mirror Lake. And the first offer that came in was from a developer. And he insisted on an exact land value based on what he needed to develop the property and put a house on it. But we got a higher price from somebody who has one of those tiny house shows.
Right.
So he just moved, he bought it, moved his tiny house on. He didn't have to deal with all the setbacks for a single family home with a slab. He had to deal with the setbacks of the square footage that he was going to put there, a tiny house, septic, well, and then he had enough money to put electric and spend it all the way over to Geneva.
Wow.
The county made him do his own electric. With just having now, he lives in the middle of that lake, Mirror Lake, and one of these days, I'll do a show with him, but he's too busy in this area. So the low price in Sarasota County, you'll see this little shack. And it's always fun when we list something like that because we know we're going to sell it to a builder, right?
Right.
Well, most likely in this market, we have so many people moving here, we're going to sell it to a builder or somebody who has the ability to be in the pipeline with the builder. It's such a long wait now with builders, isn't it?
It's really a long wait. It's taking some time. There's so many people moving here and the lack of inventory. So the builders are doing the best they can. But I believe with the pandemic, it's taking a little bit of time to get the permitting through and all the inspections.
Yes, during our last holiday, Labor Day, I called a couple of builders and I was talking to them about what can we do this weekend. I've got some people who want to look at property. And some of them we haven't had a day off in 106 days. We're not talking to anybody for the next 4 days. We will be out on our boat drinking. So, and pretty much if you looked on the intercoastal, everyone was enjoying a massive amount of social distancing while enjoying our amazing beaches and the waterfront. And we just had a last storm system come in, so it brought a little bit of cool weather. It's in the 80s.
That is nice, and I had the pleasure to go boating Saturday myself and went out to Palm Island and grabbed the lunch, and it was amazing. It was great to see all the people out there enjoying our beautiful area.
Yes, and we get to know each other on our boats as well. So the high price in Sarasota last week in the last 7 days was on Siesta Key for $2.7 million. And it was listed at 3.2, and it was sold by an agent that I've done a lot of business with, Bob Ruiz. And good job, Bob. He's very negotiable. And when agents have a home like that, we know that's very thin air as far as how many people in the world are going to spend $2.93 million for a home. This very well could be those folks' second home. And it was 195 days to close. So when we're dealing with price points like that, we have much longer days to close. And you still do jumbo loans for people like that, don't you?
Still do jumbo loans. The majority of people coming down are putting down 20, 25, or 30% on a jumbo loan. Rates are still competitive. With the pandemic, the big banks, the big investors don't have a large appetite for the jumbo loan. So the rates are a little higher than our conventional loan, but still historically low, 3.625, 3.75, depending on credit. with a 4.125 APR. So yeah, still do the jumbo loans.
That's a nice point of contact. When we're talking about the financial markets that back what the consumer receives, it is you're originating it, but you're originating it based on who is going to back it, aren't you?
You really do. You know exactly who's going to back it, and all borrowers are a little bit different. But a lot of people come to Sarasota, Bradenton, our market on this coast, and they pay cash. But with the market's doing so well financially, it doesn't make sense. Money's still cheap. So you can actually leverage the acquisition and use other people's money, mine, and we can get you into that jumbo loan.
Yep. Now, the high price in Manatee County was $5.86 million.
Woo!
Anna Marie Island, good job, Anna Marie Island, and Jason Sato brought that buyer to the deal. And out on Anna Marie Island, if I'm going to do any business out there somehow or another, I know I'm going to cross paths with Jason.
He does it all out there, doesn't he?
Right, he is the man to be in negotiation with on Anna Marie Island, because we're dealing with a really small space that's a peninsula. We have to have our elevation certificates in place. We have to have our flood information in place. There's a lot of moving parts because it is a much narrower stretch of land. There's one road out and a little hook around, but it is the most magnificent boating, water, fishing, some of the best restaurants where you have that access to beach. The agent who listed it put it on the market for 6.3. They negotiated it to 4.8, and from the time they put the contract together to the time it closed last week was 244 days.
Yeah, it takes some time for those big ones.
Right. And then those big ones, those folks very well may have had to, sell that penthouse in New York or wherever they're coming from, because we see these license plates from New York, Washington, all over the United States. And by the way, if you've lived here 30 days, heads up, the highway patrolmen are going to look at how long you've been here, and they're going to want you to have your tags changed over in 30 days.
Right.
And a local driver's license, aren't they? So the other thing that we help all of our buyers and sellers with when they change addresses is go get that new driver's license and go switch your homestead. Now, for homesteading, that's a very big deal in Florida. Why a huge crop of businesses like to be here because their employees get the benefit of the property has a lid on it. It won't appreciate, you won't be taxed on appreciation more than 4%. And you get a marital deduction. I get $25,000, my husband gets $25,000. So there's a lot of tax benefit to being in Florida as well. The average price in Sarasota County is still $283. The average price in Manatee is still $281. In the last 7 days in Sarasota County, we had 323 closings.
That's a lot of closings. That is a lot of closings.
That's 7 days in just our county alone. And in Manatee, we had 199 closings. So when I'm talking to anybody in this area, I actually see some of this market activity stretching up into the southern part of Hillsborough and the northern part of Charlotte County. But the amazing part of telling someone we have 600 closings a week. And these are people with jobs. 217 in Sarasota County were single family homes, in Manatee 129. So how many closings from the mortgage side? You're doing both origination and refi. Now, of course, I was talking to you personally last week about refi because I've just almost finished renovating my home, and it took 5 times too long because the contractors are so busy elsewhere. COVID-19, we have inspectors doing all they can. Everything's taking 4 times longer. And I think now mortgage underwriting is taking as much as 45 days, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 45 days. The appraisers are backed up. So not only are we in a refinance boom, it's the hottest real estate market since 2003, 2004, 2005. So we're busy. We're at capacity. All banks are at capacity. But we're still able to get these loans done in a relatively timely manner. But it's good that you set the right expectation up front. 45 days ensures a nice smooth closing. Sometimes 30 days, which is the norm. It's getting a little tight to hit those windows. We are still hitting those. I'm still running 8 out of 10 per purchase business. So I'm at 80%. So I'm still serving my real estate agent like Sandra more so than the refinances, because a lot of lenders are taking the low-hanging fruit doing refinances, but they're neglecting the purchase business. My company, NFM Lending, we're more purchase-centric because we know, that's healthy, that's sustainable. So we're focused more on the purchase business, working with, agent like Sandra to get these deals done.
Thank you for that, Dave. And Dave and I have been here more than 20 years. And during that last real estate boom, the other part of working with us, we're very involved with being super fans of great providers. And that is, ask us for great providers in your neighborhood, even down to lawn services,
right?
Painters, general contractors, electricians, plumbers, because you've probably heard it, especially out in Lakewood Ranch, and when we get into these neighborhoods in Sarasota, where they have a 1/4 acre river wilderness, half an acre. They have some notorious things going on, and contractors coming through and not behaving to the standard that Dave and I behave, or anyone we work with, we recommend. There's a high standard we behave to. And first and foremost, that's disclosure and preparing people to be successful in this marketplace. So in telling our clients right now, I know if they're working with you, you're already going to say, give us 45 days. What else are you going to want to do up front with them to help them prepare for how fast it's going?
Well, with the market being so high, you want to get a pre-approval, and a pre-approval means supplying me with 2 years tax returns, 2 years W-2s, 2 months bank statements, and we do want to look at the credit, because we want to make sure that when you find the right home and it feels right and it speaks to you, you want to be able to make a decision. So getting a pre-approval is very important, and that's what Sandra and I do for you. And then that also helps me go over your goals. A lot of people don't realize how much house they can afford with these low interest rates. So for example, I just had a first-time family thinking they might be at 200, right, when their average price is like 280, like you said. So now, because the rates are so low, they can buy that house for 280 and still have a nice low payment. So they were thrilled. So they wouldn't have known if they would have put the cart before the horse. So many people run the Zillow. So many people go to Realtor.com and they call Sandra to show property, but they don't even know what they can afford yet. So we help them with that budget and help them prepare for the process, because we want to give them the best rate, which is the product, but we want them to have the best experience too, right? And
right.
That's the finish line with no stress.
Oh my goodness. And things happen where crazy information flows into a transaction. And Dave and I and other professionals that we work with, we're very good at managing that level of crazy and put it into, we have a system in place, and we've been doing this for years and years. And if it comes out of left field, which things happen, every transaction, we just look at it, address it, and go through the items of the contract. A big deal for contracts right now in the state of Florida, we have what is called a FAR contract, as is, and that is used quite a bit. It doesn't mean the home is as is, like, wow, take it or leave it. But their definition also provides for all the mortgage disclosure that needs to happen. And tell me a little bit about that federal mortgage disclosure that needs to happen. It's a federal requirement, isn't it, Dave?
It's a federal requirement. So 3 days prior to closing, we have to get what they call, a closing disclosure, and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says we need to get that out. If the lender does not get that out, it triggers an automatic 10-day extension in the contract. What we do, what Sandra and I do, so there's no delay, because we know how important it is when you're trying to set up your utilities, you're making your move, you're arranging trucks and contractors if you want to do work. It's important for me to make sure that disclosure happens in a timely manner so you don't have any delay. And I'm running at like 98.7% on time, which I'm very proud to say. And that's after doing hundreds of transactions per year. That means something to me, those dates in the contract.
Oh, well, yeah. And that's how I met you in the first place. And thank you for saying that out loud. I found a whole crop of agents in our 2 counties. Now, in our 2 counties alone, we have at least 7,000 licensees in Sarasota and Manatee County. Now, yes, there's a couple hundred of us that do, 3, 4, 10, 20 transactions a year. So we're equipping everyone that we're working with to be successful as well. We want you to be successful. We want the people in the transaction to be successful. We actually have a duty in our ethics as realtors to make the transaction successful if it's still in everyone's best interest. And what you just said out loud, very few agents know. It's, I think, approximately line 56 in the as-is contract. Because I don't practice law without a license, but I sure read that line to everyone involved if we're being stretched. And that automatic disclosure is a very big deal because it's a federal disclosure. It's not up to the seller or the buyer. And no one's trying to push this around. You're doing your absolute best. And you're going to give folks a heads up, like we're coming up to that deadline. Usually, you'll be able to tell them within 15 days out, won't you, Dave?
Yeah, we're usually approved. My buyers are usually fully approved in about 15 to 17 days, where the contract calls for a commitment within 30 days. A mortgage commitment just means the underwriter's reviewed what you've given me, right? So we get you pre-approved, and based on the pre-approval, I know what you can afford. But then once you get the contract, we have to submit that to what we call an underwriter. And the underwriter isn't someone behind the curtain. It's like the Wizard of Oz, right? They say yes or they say no. But with good communication and good knowledge up front, usually we can push that through pretty quick. So what I do at FM, we don't wait till 3 days before closing to issue our closing disclosure. We try to get that out in a timely manner. And the closing disclosure is not the final number, Sandra. A lot of people think that. It's a rough draft. We usually don't get the final number until the title company or the attorney reconciles all the tax prorations, homeowners association prorations, and things of that nature. So there's always good communication that we have to do to get through this together. And you do a great job on the front side.
Well, so do you, and I appreciate you bringing this up. This is a very big deal for any agent out there who just got licensed in Florida. There's several mortgage guys and gals that you want to work with. This is one of them. And besides the consumer agents, you'll want to work so that if you're new to all this information, any stumbling block that comes your way, you're going to have somebody like Dave on your side to give you a heads up. Dave, what's a good number for agents and consumers to get a hold of you?
Best number is 941-724-7653. And you can call or text anytime, and I'll be happy to help you. I work nights, weekends, whatever it takes.
Yeah, or wave at him when he's on a boat there on Saturday. You know what he looks like.
Yeah.
And any other points of interest on coming to the end of September that we see in the marketplace?
Well, the nice thing is the Federal Reserve just came out recently and announced that they're not going to raise interest rates. So interest rates remain historic lows, a lot of cases below 3%. So it's an amazing time to buy. So the market's still healthy and robust, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Thank you. Good job, Dave. I appreciate you, and have a great Monday morning. Thanks for
Thanks, Sandra. You too.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Good job. That was fun.